John, MoviePass.
Oh no!
It's coming
Not
back.
again. This
It's
is the
coming back.
final countdown. This feels like a countdown to a nuclear holocaust. This is. I'm terrified about this. What do we do with this? Are you joining it once again? Do you want to
Oh,
be part of
yeah.
You're going to join it? Or are you going?
I'm going to join it. So here's my logic, right? I don't trust this at all. For the record, it's not me going like, oh, I'm going to give them a chance. This is me saying, okay, look. Part of what I do on YouTube, right, is I talk about movies and box office and going to the film. So I feel obligated to try this out. I feel obligated to be like, okay, what kind of service is this going to be? How different is it going to be than the old MoviePass? You know, what is the whole credit system going to look like? How can we gain credits? Because, again, it's still very confusing. There's a lot of details that we don't know a lot about. Just the fact that if you look at this page, look at how sketchy this is, all right? The waitlist for the new MoviePass beta app will open. So this is Thursday the 25th, which for us is tomorrow in 12 hours, at 9 a.m. Eastern when the timer reaches 0. It will close on August 29th or when it is full. So already you're like, okay, you're keeping it open for 5 days, but you're admitting that there's a number of spots where maybe there won't be spots after the first day. I'm guessing that and that's the other thing too, like how many spots do they actually have? Do they only have actually like 10? And they're going to make it seem like, oh, we sold out, or we filled up the waiting list in 2 minutes because they only have 10 actual spots? Or is it going to be something where maybe they actually have a fair number of spots and they're going to see how it goes? So that's already the sketchy thing. And then it says, all who join the waitlist will receive priority access to the service and 10 friend invites. Space is limited. Once the waitlist is closed, the only way to join will be through an invite from a friend. So this is just to get on a waitlist to get the MoviePass beta app. And from what I've been told and read, what will happen is you'll get access to basically sign up for the service. So you'll be paying, from what I gather, and the tiers are going to be 10, 20, or 30. And each tier does something different as far as credits are concerned, but then it's also based on your market as well. So again, there's confusion here because is it based off the market or is there actually a benefit to the $30? Like basically if I pay for $30 in New York versus paying for $30 in Tennessee, am I getting the same number of credits? Is there going to be a difference? Again, I'm assuming that the ticket prices are going to be higher in New York, but it'll be credits based instead. There's also this thing that they've talked about how they want basically the movie studios and even the theaters to collaborate with them and to offer them things. So basically a studio could buy advertising and say, hey, watch this, watch this trailer. And by watching this trailer, you gain credits and you can use those credits in the future to buy movies. But I don't know if you saw the announcement they made for it, like back 6 months ago.
I saw something, yeah.
Okay, because what they're doing with it is it was basically them admitting, so it's going to use the camera on your phone to track to make sure you're watching the screen.
Your eyeballs are open and present.
And so if you move away, it'll stop and say, are you still watching?
Oh.
Because they had apparently tried something like this previously, and people would just like leave their phones and let the ads run in the background. So let's just say there's a lot of questions. There's a lot of concerns because of that, especially. Now, they claim it's all localized. None of that data is shared. Mm-hmm. It's all just using like the proprietary system. And so basically there's going to be some type of encryption, I guess. But let's just say I have my doubts just about the security of that. But do you have any plans to join this?
Well, don't watch it when you're on the crapper because you better hope it's encrypted. Another thing is this countdown reminds me of Terminator 2 Judgment Day before Skynet comes online and then destroys the universe. Cyberdyne systems come online July 7th, 1997.
It's going to happen.
Yeah. So real quick, the way you described the app, earning credits, there's actually something like this that exists right now. And I actually did a sponsor for them. It was Universal has their own app where if you watch trailers, you earn credits. You can buy Blu-rays, movie posters. You get free streaming movies, stuff like that. So it's already implemented over there. I did
not know that.
Yeah. Very similar. Except you don't have the whole aspect of buying movie tickets through them, or maybe you do. Maybe you can buy movie tickets over there. But it's more of just a Universal-esque themed deal. But I think they have some good ideas. I think the way that they're presenting this to be like a very slow rollout, I think they're not quite sure what the reaction is going to be. That's why they're doing it so slowly to see, okay, which markets actually want this. And the other thing is the problem with the previous MoviePass strategy was if everyone actually uses it, we go bankrupt. Yeah. So I think they're hoping like certain markets, certain people, they don't want 1 million people joining this. They don't want that. They want like half of that, and they want half of that of people to actually ever use it. Yeah. So I think if everyone in New York did it and their ticket prices are double what they would be here in Indiana, for example, that's not good for them. They don't want that. So I'm curious to see where this goes in a year. I think it's going to last a year and shut down again. That's just my theory.
Yeah. It was interesting because some of the articles you read, one, it's like, oh, here we go again, is kind of like the sentiment. But then one headline from today was MoviePass set to open at worst time, because things are dead right now at the theaters. Yeah. But that's why I'm very mixed about this release, because to be fair, this is one of the original co-founders, who eventually he was fired when what was his name? Something Lowe. His name was Mitch Lowe. It was Mitch Lowe. All right. Mitch Lowe was an ass. I remember actually communicating with him on social media when things were going really bad, because he was the one that tried to perpetuate the lie of $10 a month of limited films. No, we're not going to go bankrupt, because people who see a certain number of people only see like a couple movies in a month, right? So he tried to play it up as if it was somehow like going to make money still, but that obviously didn't happen. But he was a sleazeball, complete sleazeball. But
it was like a pyramid scheme.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And so when he took over, one of the first things that he and the other guy that came on did was they fired one of the original co-founders who was still on. So that's who has rebought the company, is one of the original co-founders. He was the one running it when it actually cost more, and it was like never financially like successful, but it was at least solvent, because their model was, hey, you're paying $25 or something and you get access to a certain number of films in a given time frame. So it was at least that. So there's a level of trust there to an extent, but only to a very small extent, because it seems like they're kind of going back to their roots. But then again, there's all these questions about, okay, but how is it going to actually work? How much are the tickets going to actually be? For this, again, there's apparently going to be advantages. I am a former MoviePass member. Apparently, we get bonus credits. How do we prove that? Do we have to provide just the email address? I'm assuming that's how it'll be. How many they're not giving us a lot of details about how much you get for the bang for your buck, right? It's saying that the MoviePass beta is launching on or around September 5th. It used to be on Labor Day. Now it's around. So it seems to be changing as well.
Maybe then. We don't know. Maybe later.
Markets are going to launch in waves. That makes sense to me. How will I know? Emails, obviously. Price, 3 pricing tiers. So prices will vary depending on each market, but the general prices will be 10, 20, and 30. Each level will get you a certain number of credits to be able to use towards movies each month. More details to come.
Yeah, how many credits does $10 get you? Is that enough for one movie? Because the price of a movie ticket's $10. Yeah. So are you really getting anything for your money? I think the smart thing they did is they opened up another revenue stream with the advertising on their app. Yeah. So I think that's going to offset any shortcomings they have with people seeing too many movies. Yeah. But then again, you said this as a negative, but I actually think it's a positive for them. With a lack of movies coming out every month, you might have one movie a month. Well, guess what? Yeah. That's better for them.
Yeah. And that's the reason why I think that there is the potential for massive failure and the potential for massive success here, because one of the things that is something that's bogging us down is there are too many subscriptions, right? Whether it's the online streaming services, there's way too many. But now also Regal has their own service, AMC has their own service, Cinemark has their own service. And so what this could do is bridge that gap and be like, this is something that you can take to any of the major movie theater chains, and you can see whatever movie you want, and you can again, not have to worry about having all the different services together at the same time. So I get that. I think that does make sense too. But yeah, questions about how much is each showtime going to be credit-wise? Are they going to have the same credit prices for an IMAX movie versus a non-IMAX movie? Again, lots of questions that have not been answered. And so that's why it's so interesting. And that's why I want to sign up, because I honestly want to be like, okay, do I sign up and I find out like immediately, here's what the deal is? Like, are they going to ask for me to like give credit card information right away and charge me? Like without telling me what that money's going to get me? Like, so that's the reason why I'm signing up for it, because I would like and don't mind being the guinea pig, basically, if that means that I can find out, okay, this is a scam, don't get it, so I can warn people about it. Because I was very vocal. I was one of the very vocal people on MoviePass when it was going down, being like, this is a scheme, this is a Ponzi scheme, this is a scam, don't get it, like get off of it immediately. And there were still some people that were just kowtowing stuff, like, oh, you can see as many movies as you want, don't listen to the naysayers. So I feel like just compelled to jump in on this and see what it's like.
I'm intrigued. You should definitely do a video actually using it for the first time and the whole experience. I almost wonder if it breaks down to maybe like you're basically getting like a 20% discount on like a movie ticket, more or less. Like when it breaks down for like the tier of $25 a month, do you basically get like 3 movies for that? You basically get to see like, you get a free movie every 3 movies you pay for. Almost, that's how I feel like it's going to break down to some degree.
Well, how the credits work is going to be interesting. It's like, okay, $10, how many credits does that get me? And then
I bet it's 2 movies a month. I bet it's no more than 2 movies a month.
Here's the thing, though. They showed kind of a preview of what the app looks like, and it looks like they're going to do something that they kind of did a little bit during the original phase of MoviePass, which is that certain showtimes are going to cost less.
Yeah.
So basically, it's not going to be, again, you're not having anything that's going to cost actual money. It's going to be digital currency. So you pay $10, but you get maybe, let's say theoretically, 20 credits. And so let's say that one movie at a prime time costs 5 credits. And so you can get that one movie. Or let's say a movie at a off-peak hour is just 2 credits. So you can maybe get several movies depending on the times that you go. And so that, I think, is what's going to be the most intriguing, because that aspect of how many credits you get, how much each film costs at whatever time frame, and then also the concept of you gaining credits for free by watching advertising or doing whatever, that's also going to be, I think, something that's going to be interesting and compelling too. And also, nothing from what we've seen from this seems to indicate that you're going to have to check in, because that was one of the sketchiest things about the original one, was that you had to check in.
Never worked.
Yeah.
I almost wonder if they give you an odd number of credits to where you almost have to watch the ads and earn like an extra 4 credits to make up the difference to get that next free movie. Like you have to do the ad aspect of it. And that's where they'll make most of their money from, is the advertising. I have a feeling they're going to do that. They're always going to be an odd number of credits, where if a movie costs 10, well, we'll give you 8, but you can get those other 2 credits if you just watch these 3 movie trailers. And we watch your eyeballs watch them. So
I know. Yeah. And that's why it's so interesting, because it felt like we're like at the one 6 months ago when the guy actually gave like the full Steve Jobs like hey, unveiling of the new MoviePass, is very much what it came across. He was trying to say this is going to be about the community and the community's wants, and we're going to, communication's going to be a lot better because that's one of the things that we heard from you guys, etc. And again, it's like, I want to believe him. This is one of the original persons when, again, MoviePass actually worked, and when it was actually, a bit more on the legitimate side of things. And that was, I think I had already joined then, before it went to $10 a month and things went to hell. So I think that there's definitely something to be said for it, but also that there's some interesting prospects, because some theaters might allow them to have the person pre-order. So you might be able to actually reserve a seat through the MoviePass app. You won't have to actually go through AMC's app or anything like that. You could do it all in one app. So I think that there's a convenience factor to that, for instance. Now, it is interesting because the guy is obviously very optimistic about the service, and he thinks that by 2030 or 2040, one of those two, he thinks that MoviePass, the new MoviePass, will make up about, was it 60% of the market share?
That sounds hopeful.
Something like that.
That sounds very hopeful.
Somewhere between 30 and 60%. And this is all stemming from the peak of MoviePass. The peak was 4%.
Right. Yes.
which is impressive because that's when it was like the only subscription service around. But at the same time, you're like, yeah, that's
things
going
have
into
changed.
the tens of percentiles. We were starting to get a little
even
beyond.
less people see movies at the theater now. So now you're talking about a fractional percentage that you would have had originally. I think this will cater to people who love cinema. I think it'll have a niche following.
Yes.
But hey, in all fairness to them as a company, as long as you have a loyal fan base, even if it's small, and they're using the app, watching the ads, you're earning all the revenue streams, it actually might be more beneficial for them rather than to focus on a smaller niche rather than this mass audience, because the masses, well, you're going to go bankrupt eventually. If everyone actually uses it, you're going to go bankrupt. So it might be better for them to focus on a smaller demographic of people. I don't know.
Yeah, and it does seem, again, exciting that, again, not having to have the card to check in where they load the money, the exact amount of money you need on the card, because that was the other thing, too. Sometimes you might have gotten the wrong amount loaded on, and so you would, like, owe money. Or, like, there's the services said, oh, you have to get the exact movie that you check in for, but there was no way for them to actually check that, basically. And that's when they started to have you take pictures of the stubs and everything.
It was so
it doesn't seem like that's going to be the case anymore. Yeah. So that's why it's like, if everything's being handled on their end, where you go into the app, you go to the theater you want, you pick the show time, you buy your ticket right there in the app, and boom, you have your ticket. That's actually pretty convenient, because then it's like, I don't have to go to the theater to actually do it. I don't have to worry about a card being loaded. It just is all being taken care of. So if that's how it works, and it ends up being, again, there's going to be bugs obviously in the beginning, and that makes sense. This is a brand new iteration of the service. And that's why I kind of want to check it out, because, hey, if it's a really good service and ends up working out well, I might be able to say, hey, yeah, if you're someone where you only see a few movies a year, this actually might benefit you in some degree, right? Or, however it works out mathematically, So, yeah, I want to try it out for that reason alone. And maybe I'll send you an invite if I get on the
Please do. I'm curious. If you can see at least 2 movies per month for the $10, completely on board with it. But if you can only see 1.5 movies for the $10 and you have to make up the difference by watching ads, that to me is, I don't know. I don't think it's worth my time.
Yeah. It's gonna be interesting, and for me, I'm compelled to it because I have the AMC A list. I love the AMC A list. I think it's a great service. Especially if you use it, you get a lot of bang for your buck with it. Again, now that movies are finally coming out again, it's great to actually start getting to get money's worth out of it. But the one thing I'm excited about is that I do have a Regal near me. I think have a Cinemark as well, but it's not near enough or having enough availability for me to buy their services, basically. So to have this as an option to be like, hey, I'll pay for the $10 a month because this is what I'll use at Cinemark. This is what I can use at Regal, and then that way it's like I don't have to worry about the subscription fee, but I'm also still paying less for maybe exclusive movies that they have that AMC doesn't have, or something similar, or show times that they would have that maybe AMC wouldn't have. So that's where like my excitement comes in, is like there's a lot of potential. All right, but that's all that it is right now. It's all potential. They got to actualize it, and we'll see if they're able to actually pull that off.
I think it's good for theaters because any outlet you have to buy more tickets to see movies at theaters is only beneficial for them. And maybe just maybe theaters will also incentivize people. Okay, well, we know you can go see a movie anywhere, but if you come to Regal, well, every third movie we give you a free bag of popcorn if you go through MoviePass. So that could help.
And that's what they're looking into. That's what MoviePass is hoping to do, is to be able to have the theaters reach to you directly, basically. So basically to say, like, hey, if you come see this movie, you will be able to get, a discount on this or that. And so I think there's a lot of potential here. It has to be done right. It seems like it's in the right hands. But as I said, it is a little bit too shadowy right now. Not a lot of details. And I know that they're trying to be more legitimate, but I don't think being this shadowy about how things are going to work is going to be the way to do it. I think that they should just say, all right, we're going to start very, very small. Here's how it's going to work. Things change over time. But right now, all they're doing is being like, sign up. We want to see general interest.
Do you want to know why?
It's almost like we're waiting to see general interest, and then we'll decide once we get that, basically. That's what they're saying, basically.
They want the proof of concept. That way, once they have it and they say, okay, 100,000 people signed up. Now they can take that information to advertisers and say, we have 100,000 people here. Right now, they don't know. So it's hard to get ad space or people to buy ad space on their app when no one's joined it yet. So I think they're just taking baby steps, to be honest with you, because they don't know. So I wouldn't put a lot of hope or faith into it.
It's a very weird model. It's such a weird model because most businesses, most businesses, they're like, all right, this is what it's going to be. And if you want to sign up to get early access, boom. And this one, it's just like, we don't know what it's going to look like. Here's some very, very bare details. Here's the app to show you what it will look like when you get access, maybe, but we don't know yet. So that's why I'm intrigued by it. That's why it's like, hey, why not? I'll gladly get myself a new card. I have my old card somewhere. I'll see, hey, maybe how many bonus credits am I going to get? It'd be funny to me if like they said, we're not going to give you bonus credits until like after the first month or two, basically until they build up some revenue. And then I don't think this is going to happen, but I think it would be great. This would go a long way. If they like after like a month or two, it's going well, it's successful, they were then to say, we're giving any person that had MoviePass basically during that dark time, like a year's worth of something, like, or that, again, that's crazy, but like a significant amount to be like, we are going to try to make up for all the nonsense. Right. Because now we can. Like, they're not going to be able to do that right away, but over time, because I think they are offering like the people who are at the live event, who are like a part of some testing early on of some of the systems, they're getting like a year-long subscription for it. But I think it'd be cool for them to say, hey, former MoviePass people, y'all got screwed over. Let's take care of y'all a little bit. But it'll be interesting.
Yeah, or they go bankrupt in 6 months.
Or they go bankrupt again. And but again, because things are going slow at the theater, maybe this is something that jolts it a bit, right?
I think it will help, yeah.
Because if MoviePass did anything in its early age, if it did anything, it did a lot for independent films.
Right.
It did a huge amount for independent films. Like in New York City alone, it made up for like 75, 80% of some of the biggest independent films of that year. So there's definitely, again, as you said, I think it's going to be that niche audience that they're going to have for this. And hey, I'm excited to see what happens, because if it's a train wreck, it's going to be fun to be like, so yeah, sign up for MoviePass, and this is what my experience was. And if it ends up being well, I'll be like, hey guys, this is actually kind of a cool new service. Check it out.
I just remember. Did I ever tell you they reached out to me when they first started because I had a YouTube channel talking. Yeah, it was back in 2012 when it first started up.
Oh man!
And they were like, hey, we have this new thing, and that was when phones kind of sucked. The internet was always spotty.
Oh, did you ever promote it? Because maybe I do remember.
I did mention it a few times.
Okay, I think that's actually. I think it may have been you or someone who had mentioned it in their videos. Maybe it was you or Jeremy Johns or one of them. Yeah.
Yeah, I think a few people did, but the only thing about it was either it worked a few times, and the other few times it didn't work when I was outside of the theater, because you had to go there, stand in a geographical certain location, and if it just didn't work, it didn't work. And I was like, okay, this is like, I can't use this. It's not reliable.
I will say I never had the number. I knew a lot of people had issues with it. I think couldn't check in maybe once. And I had to go through the whole system of putting in the requests and everything, and it was a hassle. But for the most part, it actually worked really well for me. Let's just say I got my money's worth out of it. That's probably one of the reasons why they went out of business.
Well, that's your fault. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember. Okay. Correct me if I'm wrong. The check-in time was always like you could check in like 2 hours ahead of time. Maybe I'm making that up. Yeah. So I lived right beside a theater. Because I didn't trust it to work when it was time to go see the movie. I would like drive down to the theater, go to the parking lot, check in, so I knew it was good to go, and then go back home and wait for the movie to start.
Hey, that's a smart thing to do.
But I was like, but you should, like, that's not very convenient.
You shouldn't have to.
Yeah.
That's why, again, everything seems much more, it's going to be app-based. There's going to be a physical card as well. But because, again, we don't know. There's things that we don't know about it. But anyway.
No, I don't think they do either.
They don't either. But we're going to find out together, everybody. So stay tuned, because in less than 12 hours, let me see if I can pull that back up on the screen.
Did we mention this podcast is sponsored by MoviePass?
By MoviePass 2.0, which is now
promo code Odin.
11 hours and 43 minutes away. And now for a huge shout out to all of my Keeper of the Bifrost and Chosen of Valhalla members over on Patreon, Subscribestar, and Locals. Starting off with my Patreon supporters, we got Chris from the 80s, who you can check out on YouTube, Garrett Searles, Hymir Irie Hymason, Jeff Toon, Joe Horn, Jonathan Carney, Laura, The Modern Major General Story, Father Luca Illick, Orange Hat Reviews, who you can also check out on YouTube, Rosetta Allen, whose YouTube channel's name is Eagle Rider, Stan Andrian, Miss Martin Muses, who also has a YouTube channel, and the Empress of the Universe, Tina B, who you can check out on her show that she does with the amazing Stephanie B, my Valkyrie, on a show called Soup to Nuts on Tina B's channel. Also to my Subscribestar peeps, we got Matt317, who you can support over on Twitch, same name, Storm Tracker, The R, Fast Reaction, Mr. Roy, J-Rod, The Beer Guru, and ZK-Man, who you can support over at xtheboundaries.co. And lastly, to my Locals members, we got Miss Minnesota Hockey Fan, How About a Hockey Player? We have UAB Mad Dog Mike Jackson for the win, Brett D90, and Robert Barnes, who most people should know about at this point, so go support him over at InfoWars, YouTube, and all the other locations that he is at. But if you want your name shouted out at the end of every single video and live stream, check out that top link in the video description. Finds out all the places that you can follow me on social media, and also all the various platforms that you can support the channel, which include not only shoutouts, but also access to giveaways of 4K titles, Blu-rays, tons of other stuff like that, digital codes, and then also a way to get access to being featured on the channel once a month for the Chosen of Valhalla live stream, where we're talking about movies, pop culture, and pretty much anything the Chosen want to talk about. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, check out the video description. There's also access to a podcast that I do with John the Flick Pig Flickinger once or twice a month. And don't worry, if you were wondering where the July episode is, because of scheduling conflicts, especially with John, we were not able to get that done, but we will have 2 episodes this month to make up for it, so don't you worry about that. Anyway, you guys are all amazing and beautiful people. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and as always, God bless.